ונורא הוא גומל חסדים. קדוש ונורא הוא גומל חסדים.
Hey everyone, thanks for coming back. This is Eli Shmuel again. This is our second and final video of the 10 Principles of Faith according to the 12th century Karaite sage Yehudah Hadassi. In the previous recording we covered the first 5 principles, and now we are going to talk about Hadassi's last 5 principles of faith. As a quick refresher, Hadassi's first 5 principles of faith are that 1. God's creation and wisdom is unique. 2. The Almighty is one and only, without equal. 3. The entire universe was created out of nothing. 4. God sent Moses and the other prophets. 5. God gave Moses one pure, written Torah. Before we get started on Principles 6 to 10, I want to mention again that Principles 6 and 7 are, as far as we know, unique to Hadassi in that similar principles do not appear in the works of Hadassi's rabbinic contemporaries. Principle 6, according to Hadassi, refers to the importance of learning the language of the Torah, and Principle 7 focuses on the temple in Jerusalem. Because these principles are unique to him, we'll spend a little more time on them. Alright, Principle 6. Hadassi's 6th principle is to learn the language of the Torah, that is, the holy language of Hebrew. Learning biblical Hebrew is an important part of being a practicing and knowledgeable Jew, because every translation of any text, including the Tanakh, is by definition someone's interpretation of what the text says. So it is important to read the Tanakh in its original language, but reading it in its original language is actually not enough. We have to understand what God conveys us with the language used. As Karaites, our goal is to interpret the text according to the plain meaning. Sometimes the plain meaning is literal and sometimes it is figurative. And the best way to understand the Tanakh is by knowing the holy language of the Bible so that we may read for ourselves the intent of each passage. Similarly, in seeking to understand the text, those little dots and signs you see in printed books of the Torah are very important. We may do a video in the future about the intricacies of the various signs in, on, and under each word. Hadassi's 7th principle concerns God's temple in Jerusalem. And in particular, Hadassi says that the temple is God's palace. This principle is also unique to Hadassi among his contemporaries. To understand its importance to Hadassi, you need a little background on Hadassi's life. Hadassi was among the last of the Karaite Monarchs of Zion. The Monarchs of Zion was a prominent Karaite religious movement that, among other things, mourned the destruction of the temple. In Hebrew, Monarchs of Zion is Avelei Tzion, and is a reference to Isaiah 61:3. In short, the Monarchs of Zion, as their name suggests, used to mourn the destruction of Jerusalem and its holy temple in order to hasten the salvation and the building of the third temple. Hadassi and his fellow Karaite Monarchs of Zion placed Jerusalem at the center of their life, which is one reason why Hadassi's 7th principle concerns the holiness of the temple. And we can find plenty of verses in the Tanakh pertaining the holiness of Jerusalem and its temple. For example, in Psalms chapter 132. We can find the Monarchs of Zion's influence on the traditional Karaite prayers until this very day. Various verses pertaining to Jerusalem and its remembrance are central themes in our prayers. For instance, the well-known verses of Psalms 137 are recited in every Karaite prayer, be it a weekday, Shabbat, or festival. This includes the famous verse,
אם אשכחך ירושלים, תשכח ימיני, תדבק לשוני לחיקי, אם לא אזכרכי, אם לא אעלה את ירושלים על ראש שמחתי.
Hadassi's eighth principle is the resurrection of the dead. We could literally spend weeks on this one topic, but since this is an introductory video, we just focus on a few verses that support the principle of a resurrection of the dead. One of the verses Hadassi cites is Ezekiel 37:12, which says that God will open up our graves and cause us to come out of them so that we may come to the land of Israel. Another verse cited by Hadassi is in Daniel 12:12, which states that those who sleep in the dust of the earth, meaning those who are buried, will awake, and some of them will have everlasting life, and others will have everlasting abhorrence. Hadassi cites other verses in support of this topic, but we'll leave it with this for now. Hadassi's ninth principle is that there is judgment. Hadassi's explanation here is actually fairly short. Hadassi speaks in the present tense and is not, at least not by the plain language he uses, discussing a distant time in the future. He says quite simply that there is judgment and there is fortitude. According to Hadassi, judgment will be brought to all the rebels and criminals.
סוף דבר הכל נשמע, את האלוהים ירא, ואת מצוותיו שמור, כי זה כל האדם.
Hadassi's tenth principle is that there will be reward and punishment. People, whether good or bad, are judged and rewarded, measure for measure, according to their deeds. This concept is expressed in Jeremiah 17:10, which says that everyone will receive the fruit of their actions. As you can see, Hadassi's 8th, 9th, and 10th principles are all related in some way. The 8th principle is that there will be a resurrection that will lead to either everlasting life or everlasting reproaches. The 9th principle is that there is a judgment to determine which category we fall in. And the 10th principle is that we will be rewarded and punished according to our acts. Well, I hope you've enjoyed this second video explaining Yehudah Hadassi's 5 remaining principles. Once again, here's the list of all 10 principles so you can see them.
יצר האל את העולם, ששת ימים כי לכולם, יום שביעי מקל עליו.
And that's a wrap of the 10 principles of faith of the Honorable Karaite sage Yehudah Hadassi. Let's meet again soon. Thank you for listening, and God bless you all. May our faith be strengthened. Goodbye.